Thank you. Oh, I have mine already.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
That's what happened.
Time, buddy, how are you?
Seems like I haven't seen you forever.
You need something higher? I can get you something.
Just need it.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah,
It's like in a bed battle,
yeah, okay.
getting old.
Begin with the Heart Sutra in English on page 2. Thus I have heard, at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of Altered Peak Mountain, with a great gathering of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the samadhi of the many aspects of phenomena called profound appearance. At the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, saw the 5 skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the power of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, how should a son of lineage train who wishes to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? And thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva answered the Venerable Shariputra with these words. Shariputra, those men and women of a lineage who wish to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look at it like this. The 5 skandhas should be seen purely in their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form also is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are emptiness, and having no characteristics, they are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no phenomena. There is no quality of sight and so on until no quality of mind and no quality of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance and so on up to no old age and death and no exhaustion of old age and death. In the same way, there is no suffering, no origin, no ending, and no path. No wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide by means of the profound perfection of wisdoms. And since their minds have no obscurations, they have no fear. Transcending falsity, they attain nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the 3 times have relied upon the perfection of wisdom, and have become true and complete Buddhas of unsurpassable, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the profound perfection of wisdom, the mantra of insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for it is not deceptive. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Teyata om gate gate haragate harasamgate bodhi soha. Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. And then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and said to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva noble Avalokiteshvara that he had spoken well. Well done, O son of the lineage, it is so. O son of the lineage, since it is just so, the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra and noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, and the entire gathering, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One. Lama dan dan ho jesu jame lama jase kage rude dine dedra nida namda rasara
Jenye Dego Jeje Zinche Nije Tuga Le Paste Kanda Sebe Tseria Mari Mero Dunya Jisewe Rozo Guna Puchi Tatsi Yena Juju Yambe So Ruda Chebro Nyemo Nyelo Leje Chadro Duziche Mare Mese Dunya Nyelo Chenye Jenze Radrina Dene Tachin Sito Tazo Yede Luzo Jeze Tuyako Chada Chada Chuni Jedre Talu Mese Jabe Yana Arabazanadi 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 Cheravideje Balodimu Nabarasane Kadadi Jujuru Tobayi Lodu Bobena Watseto.
Continuing with the short mandala offering on page 16. Saji Pugi
Joje Metoda Rirani Yeni Devani Sanji Yendo Vide Bovaye Rogunanda Yena Jebayo
Jetsun Mama
Tamba Jena Je Juga Kala Jeze Tredene Shada Zambi Guje Zemala Saji Juje Jabado Enamuna Nagane Yasaya Me
Continuing with the refuge prayer on page 22. Sanjay Jadang
Saje Janala Janjo Bardo Dani Chabuji Nage Chuje Jibe Sonani Rala Bejira Sanji Rubalasho
Sanjay
Chedan Zoji Janala Janjo Bardo Dani Chabuji Nage Chuje Jibe Sonani Rala Bejira Sanji Rubalasho
Sanjay
Chedan Zoji Janala Janjo Bardo Dani Chabuji Nage Chuje Jibe Sonani Rala Bejira Sanji Rubalasho 야, 당무서 쉬어게 상대 쇼제나 쇼가 상제나 때라 르수 간제나 네버는 줘 방바데스 that's continue to 라디오레 아 때라 르수 간제나 네버는 줘 방바데스 다 간리야 르수 거래 또 된지 그 순간으로 다들 지시 소리 그래 근데 르수 마세다 간데지라고 그래서 왜나 근데 네버는 줘 방바지 그래서 근데 뭐봐 제 소소리야 네번 주의 아니 주소한테서 방법을 사야지 배나 말로선들 주로마 시간을 있다기나 말로서 뭐였어데 시간 때니 타문에 말로서 뭐야 되는 거 들어와 니나다 디나다 조이나다 시간이 찍다니 타마다 무슨 뭐야 돼 건요고 들어와 가게 타미겠다 너들하고 뭐여봐 tendaji rawa ane tangbo le shinga yawo zogo budwa shinga tsadwa kanyang bandaji soya dang sato do soba shiki zoya na bada ane tali ya ji chuje wazara luje wazara luje di dos ko sagi de pazon soba daji zogo budwa ane tendaji zo tsabi jili ya ane tu kanshi ki tsili ya tenala sabi de dagurwa musa sabi de tsabi jili ya 제 나시가 자료 따다 보고 요래 아니야 차주 뒤에서 보고 요래 되지 마주나 아니 자주 마반다야 사베트는 요거 지금도 아니 양나시 그 차랑 다다지면은 차라는 양한테 사서 강고 차네 요거 지금 양 주마다는 주 친구고요 사베트 주래 양 요거 지금 말에 자 그 라지 다리 뭐 지금 발리가 뭐 주로 거도 근데 이제 토마 신가대야 보고 거요래 엔테는 사베대야 보고 거요래 되나야 시가 되나야 아니 최단로도 최저야 보지 그 준비지에서 그래야 보지 쳐고 거래 라지 전에 되면 나가서 거야 이거 신내도도 라고도 되게 라고도 무슨 거야 되게 들어와 때를 누가 하시was 근데 르 다시 요즘 상에 근데 르된다 근데 소소래야 지 중앙 대야 보지 소마라 아니면 근데 유망 거래야 아니 투비 제만 뭐 어디 쳐 그래서 저 근데 소라는 무슨 투비 제 가르쳐 그러나 아니 가서 거래야 지 추에 본성고 여바다 아니 기회추 방지 매바다 장주가 센 아니 매제바 안토스 zul고 여바 사제 소스 좀 그래서 말로 했잖아 대 사제잖아 치미 류는 내버린 주 리수마세지 텔마 시험비가는 라는 버스마다 얘는 버스마세 라는 버스마다야 가전윤 주제 리무스마다 엔텐고지 타 땡고지 탑 때마다 근데 탑때 년주 봉화 가르스 프로그램에서야 때내 정도 때내도 너네야 가전윤 주제 리무스마선데 때내야 너도 들어다 마고 싶지 송도 사진이나 사진 조선스 근데 체니 송도 제가 때나는 과대와잖아 당보들이야 당신 문제는 내가 해야 돼야 안 당신 생각을 다 가서 말해 랑이 류다 쏘라야 못하봐 근데 당비 취 야버린 생각을 해서 손바로 제가 당비 취 야버린 생각을 해서 제가 당비 취되라 아니 롱고 취가 더비 취 니래잖아 전세체다 맞고 두고지고 가나오스 그래다 저저 더비 취된 생각고요래 롱고 취 나네 제발 때 소소주를 더비 취 더비 제고고요로 제가 근데 더비 제고라 랑이 센데 랑이 센주된 주와 땅에 더비 제고고도마도 랑이 센주 주와 마땅한 더비 제도야 말해 롱고 취고 나네 가르치고나 센주때 주와다 시고로 센주주단 시고로 제가 롱고 취고 나네 센주주단데 소소가 시가제 대야버지죠 때 자만하게 대소소 라터제네 소소가 센주된 주왔다 센주 주왔다더니 10제고 제시게라고 해야 말해 소소 그절 야야 용대하게 제 현래야 내가 젠더가 뇌센다고 아니 컨트롤다고 아니 왜 지각에 처음 메시베 내가 잡았다고 어떤데 제가 말해서 근데 제가 어느 소소에 젠디하는 지는 주변에 있는 누구래나 제가 치만 나서 있는 소소 어느 내서는 그랬지 동감마다 반영하 캐그래서 어떤 수고여로 저 대인들 어느 주세에 제상 소소주를 유대고 롱에만 망보주고 생명에만 망보주래 제가 소소주를 차도를 밤에 봐서 되니 맞아요 밤에 봐서 그래 어느 뇌차대야 매봐서야 돼 어디네 다 소소주를 가르쳐 그러나 아니 시안이야 펜세다 아니 쇼안이 시간을 지내지 언니 제사는 장주고 센세하고 어디서야 랑주리 제주고 거래 제가 랑주리야만 매봐서야게 록체시 가지고래 랑주리야 말 맞아봐 제주고야 록체시만 보줘야 제가 주었다 때 제가 너무 주고 나야 어느 산지에 주부 제대로 나야 근데 센주주다 자장 소셔야 돼 근데 하는 게 나는 랑이 센주 마루버스도 봐 매봐서 되겠다 아니 야와트도 랑주리야 마제버서야 제토야기 메시지 제버터 소대 공원이 건도야 빼야기 메시지 오고요 어디는 이제 Tendagi lungu chuno sonsha jogo tezo nani jebar teni tami rangu jolaya semba juju tayo wangi rangu jolaya ane toba ji chung yung gore ninji e se anaba chanchu ka sen se anaba ane toni tobe shira se anaba tana je ninji shoni shebe ninji chenpo ke ma jewa na tseme ninji ra tseme ninji de ke ma jewa na taji tore ninji jumawa ane 저 돈로냐 다시 통하는 니 제세하고 한 거래 저게 로봇을 전전을 봐. 근데 니 지체는 야보로 봐. 인지 미지 쇼는 나지 니 지체보다 근데 아서 제토야 가고요래. 이내야 근데 지역에 시작하는 사변으로 좀 말도 줄 때는 요래. 뭐서 세진냐 다로 들어 통해 보게 아직 니지 다들 지 가라서 하는 거잖아. 야야 연구를 때 가나 마음은 니지 지금 뭐를 지역에 사베도 무슨 줄이요? 저도 얘기 당고 여러분. 어디래 이제 타네. 아니 무슨 줄이야? 이제 정문에 가서 체대더라. 제가 요래. 제가 저도 마지막 지역은 몇 지야. 그래서 거기 농구 주는 수 같은 아들 제발 때 소소 줄이야. 어느 또봐 통용 거는 또 비춘 것에 되네. 제가 너희나 안에 된다 나를 제발은 은 소소리야. 대왕의 소설을 대해서 토를 해서 그래. 근데 다시 조직상에 대해서 남이 주는 화장이 짜와치보다 어느 교주 친구 있은 거예요, 여러분. 대대로 토가 제발라 어느 순례하고 송을 해서도 봐. 타는 먹여주고 순례하고 송을 해서 그래. 먹여주고 어느 류지리 남아송 마게 남아시에 예지 남아송 먹여주고 순례는 야고 송을 마다에 먹여주고 순례하고 송을 해서 아니 제사고 좋아지에서 진진바다야 아니 순조소야 순조자야 아니 땡행들라야 라서베 제가 봐주고 나네 도와줘야 아니 만나지만 받자야 아니 배만아야 보자야 지금은 내가 라자나다고 하네 아니 주만 많이 배 내가 라자나다고 하네 아니 만나 야 보자야 어디다기 주제 초발 때니 아니 무슨 레상부터 토그래서 걸어 제가 당무도 단대 루지 토하는 데이트니 시비시비게 주원으로 토야 가버래. 이는 지와 몸보 유지니 또 저렇게 상보지가 대상보지 몇트니 도와이나 하는 것도 내고서 제대 토야. 데데 용하여로. 근데 이제 제가 그만이야. 아니 생각을 따라하면 배자네. 근데 너버 주와 방법 대해서 아니 마음발에 르된 상보 마음발에 지원이 지원주니 전체에 주소선 것도 써라. 하늘라고 그래. 다들 좋은데 말하자.
So we're currently on verse 7. So let's read the first two lines of the verse 7. It is here what is protecting the body. It is giving up what is harmful. And then also, this whole verse is actually, how is this attained? By giving up all fruitless movements. So here it is talking about, we have briefly covered what is meant by protecting one's body. Briefly, it is a brief explanation during our previous sessions. And in this particular chapter, verse 7 and onwards, it talks about the detail of what is meant by protecting one's body and so forth. So it is very clear in the verse itself. What it says is, what is protecting body? It is giving up what is harmful.
Excuse me. I didn't quite hear.
You can hear?
No, well, no, my hearing is not great, so.
Okay, so let's
I
try.
just didn't hear that last piece.
It's on the first line, and
Yeah, this-
I'm just reading that
yeah.
verse 7, first two lines, okay? So let me read once again here. Here, what is protecting the body? It is giving up what is harmful. Okay. So that is the two lines of the first 7 verse, the verse 7. And so this explains, as I mentioned earlier, explains it's a detailed explanation of what is meant by protecting one's body. So it is when speaking about protecting one's body, it's not just uh, seeking protection from physical harm only alone. Rather, we're talking about giving up harmful actions that is harmful for oneself and for other beings. So here, protecting body here is not just protecting one's body of this life, but we're talking about protecting the body of future life by giving up harmful actions. That is what it's meant. In order to have this uh, uh, future rebirth as a human beings, the fortunate human beings, the precious human rebirth, we need to plant the seeds where we can attain this precious human rebirth in the future. Just as the farmers prepare their lands to making sure their lands are suitable to plant the seeds, and going through all kind of hardships and farming, farming works and so on. And so so then only after, not only that, but also it requires a suitable climates and timely rains and so forth. All those conditions and causes and conditions are all excellence. Then only the farmers will be able to enjoy the fruits of their work. So therefore, their works have become fruitful. In the same manner, in order to have a precious human rebirth in one's future life. Are you guys hearing me?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
We need to accumulate a cause that will become that will become that will become an excellent cause for giving rise to our future, perfect future life, in other words. So now, what kind of causes and conditions we need to accumulate to have such a fruitful and wonderful future life? Then here it says, need to uphold the Dharma. It says, by upholding Dharma, one will be able to accumulate a cause which gave rise to excellent human rebirth in one's future life. And so when you're speaking about the Dharma, there are primarily of two kinds. the written teachings, the teachings of the Dharma, and also the Dharma of realizations. So there are two kinds. Out of two, the mainly here the Dharma referring to the realizations. But the realization cannot, if one is not gone through the listening to the teachings, whether the teachings of the Dharma or the written teachings of the Dharma. So first, we need to listen to the teachings of the Dharma, instructions, whatever the instructions that one may have received from one's teacher, and this must be implemented and put it into practice in order to gain realizations. Without putting in practice, just mere listening to the teachings alone will not enable one to attain realizations, spiritual realizations. So what is meant by realization here is to changing one's mind or transforming one's mind. This is all about. Once all the teachings, the Buddha has given in the 84,000 hits of the teachings given by Buddha is to transformation of one's mind, is to, shaping one's mind and elimination of all those negativities and achieving the positive state of mind. That is all the teachings the Buddha has given. So here now, for instance, by listening to the teachings of the Dharma and following the practice, then one will be able to eliminate all those negative thoughts that one may have within us, such as harmful thoughts, anger, and attachment and so forth. And so if we are completely remaining under the domination, under the control of those negative thoughts and emotions, and we're not actually planting seeds which give rise to a positive result as a perfect human rebirth in the future. In fact, because of those negative thoughts and emotions, it will not only be harmful for one's spiritual life, but also harmful to one's present life. And then one will undergo suffering in our spiritual life, greatly. So therefore, always be vigilant and try to examine one's mind and find and identify what are the negative thoughts and emotions which need to be abandoned. What are the positive thoughts which need to be achieved, such as compassion, love, bodhicitta, and so forth. So this bodhicitta and wisdom realizing emptiness, all of these realizations must accomplish by means of going through the listening to the teachings or verbal teachings or the written teachings. Based on the study of the Dharma and whatever the information that one may have understood by reading the teachings, by studying the Dharma, one is then need to put it into practice. So this will give rise to all this spiritual realizations such as compassion, bodhicitta, wisdom, emptiness, and so on. So all of those positive qualities, we already have seed within us. The only thing is that we are not actually taking care of that seeds. We possess this good seeds within all of us. We have the seeds within all of us. What we need to understand is here now, we need to take care of that seeds and make it, provide proper conditions, in order to favorable conditions, so that these seeds can germinate into sprout. So in brief, um, what is meant by protecting one's mind, what is meant by protecting one's body, must be understood in terms of giving up all those harmful actions of body, speech, and mind, of this life. And by doing that, one will then be able to prepare oneself to have a better life in the future, such as particularly living one's life in ethically sound by giving up all those negative thoughts, particularly the 10 negativities of 3 of body, 4 of speech, and 3 of mind. Giving up all those negativities then will be followed by the practice of 6 perfections, generosity, and so forth. Will then be complemented by the pure aspirations or the prayers, which will then become a complete cause for giving rise to a better future, perfect rebirth or the precious human rebirth in the future. So, so therefore, always whenever we are engaging in the practice of the Dharma, receiving the teachings or practicing, even if one is, verbalizing some verses of chantings and so forth, we should always remember that very purpose of doing all of this is to transformation of one's mind. And practice of Dharma is, after all, is transformation of our mind. If one is not being able to transform one's mind over time by engaging in the practice, then one is not really following the proper way of engaging in the practice of Dharma.
Sije tamje marjo nage tada nabe sije tamje sanji ke sare dagin goge yes anjre dagin goge yes tende jingo bache bala ngo thungi ki dibate sanji ne matamdo tende yedu de che do rani ale ngole ya ana sanji ko bangu de che yes abe o tende ki dibate de sen che ba che la ne janju shon ya janju ko sen no go de so 장주고 세대 가는 거지 예서이나 근데 거대 요도 되잖아 세제 탐제에서 세제 탐제 안에 산지가 살아 다기 뭐기 예사지 대체도 라니 산지 거방도 제기 예사배 근데로 제가 센체가 지지려야 안에 누가니디 장주고 세스네 어때지 예사대보다 얼마 장주고 세스 가딜라와이네 장주고 세세야 되지 예사 개월 장주고 세세야 돼 로레 시바레 레바레 로레 시서 제바레 대나냐 안에 세다 생주니가네 세예서와레 야 생주 되면 요래 엔다라로게 미고로 장주고 세서 뭐 소세랑 되로래 어 되게 센 제바지 지려야 안에 장주고 세서라고 해 제가 대 달로 영역이 가서 탐지고 줄을 지어요래. 다이네 제가 맞아야 소소문이 지금 배제자다 맞아라네 그러면도 장주고 세줄 지어 매킹이 세지 지어야 말해. 세제 있는 뭐 벌써 지루이 비차래. 사지와라 장주세 열 맞아라 사지랑이 지어야 말해. 네들 세제 탐지고 줄을 장주고 세줄 지어야 되지. 이내야 다 지어라 대지하겠더니 소소금 배제 제거하다 배제 때문에 안 그런 거지 가서 무색이 주매치면 중요하게 요말 자상 말서 줄이 있는 자주 세지만 매겨 줄이 지어요래 소소금 배제잖아 어디다 되는지 자상다 자주 세 맞고 영양 공급이 그래야 근데 그래 자주 세 영양 맞고 공단들아 안에 가비 추이잖아. 나비 추이제 나네 제오레스네. 또 소마다 가지니 나비 추이고데. 그래서 말에 가지 추이는 그런 거잖아요. Zujilamata can also walk over the jury, the decision budget. Then, Shankiwa Jabalaya, Jubachi Jumaris, Yagiwa Jabal Jubajabate, Nabu Jury. Then, Chancellor, and the Yanaki, Maneva Mawate, Jury, Janju Samatanaya, Solo, Shishan Jenny, Condor Jenny, and the Magawa Jenny, and Delium, Maiba, Resang the Iba Marisano, or to the Don to the Kundiamok, Maneva Ma, the Jury. The near Hasan might be Yojibas, Rani Yibisidia, and so long in Hasan Majajin, and the Yojibate, Jiri, the Nabi treated the so, Buria Maris, Pangres, or the three. That issue had the Kavichuia said, Kavichuia said, she do Dupont, sorry, she do, and Dupont. Chigre, Chadamuzo, Sozogi, Lulan and Nibayabata, Sozo Jonagoyaba, Tazodi, Shivitoni, and the Dream Pangres, or the Chire. Nibadi, Sengel Yojimere, Sembatabo Neva says Jure, Sengel Yoji Chejumar, Kadina Tambota Jegres Yatare, you are the Jose Casey, the Rose and Rosary. You are Muddy Yosa, Muddy Jutsa. Ana mili yoji tsuji tena lo yoji kanda yo se je so so gi juen na be ni shen ma shi ji ni ani ndo ko ba je de yo ta bo se gore je se de so so me ba je la shi ba yo ndo na je ni ani yen pe de ta ba de je se gore je tan ko yo je tene je yo ma res ta bo ta ja sin je ni ya ta bo ta ke je gore yo ji je yo ma res de Nibadi, Nibaman, somebody, Chanchu Samba, Torian, Sosogi, doing big in Dushi, Chanchu Samba, Soso, doing big in Dushi Shani, and the Zoria, Munis Timbi, and the Zoria, Chiva Jogres or Maju Chiva, Tuba Chivres or Chanchu Samba said in Lamara, Chanchu said Juris Jets hanging out, and Chanchu Samba the war, and the Zoria, Munipage, Toyana Timbi. Tata Timbi, in Gurtala, Majuche, Tubabe, what the Nejagramato, Maneva Junum Mares, Oda Kandaja, Kavichi Nani, Chancellor Timin Deshitini, and the Amunis Tibe, Majuche Patere. The name Maba Shivadi, Rami member Javi Dujana, Lane, Jojan Dujuba Savore. So, Leia, and so, Jim member Jaguaki, Dujamboy, the Sodelia, and Zobi Chanchu, Zojan, and Nani Jejures or the Shadalea, and Gavichi said, Navichi Pangua, Gavichi Duguya, or the Navichi the tree in the pang, Gavichi the tree in the Bruna, and Janju the same as ever, and the Gonda, Paradise, or the
So here now, the essence of the practice of the Dhamma is to practice bodhicitta, so-called, and importance of meditating on bodhicitta. So, so here now, as a follower of the teachings of the Great Vehicle, when we engage in the practice, our practice must be followed by the motivations of the bodhicitta. So the bodhicitta, motivate the bodhicitta that in the later part of this teachings, you will see again and again importance of emphasizing importance of practicing the bodhicitta. So here, the practice of bodhicitta. So first of all, what is meant by bodhicitta? Bodhicitta consists of two aspirations. Mind that consists of two aspirations, in other words. Aspiration to working for the welfare of other sentient beings, and aspiration to attain full enlightenment for that purpose. So this two are what is called two aspirations. And the mind which consists of these two aspirations is what is called bodhicitta. So, so if you look at ourselves that in motivations to working for the welfare of entire sentient beings, but if you look at ourselves at this point, we are unable to, work for all other sentient beings. Let alone that working for the welfare of all other sentient beings. We're not even able to work for the welfare of people who are in our surrounding. So therefore, now the practice of bodhicitta will become so significant if one has a pure motivations of working for the welfare of the sentient beings. Because by only someone who gained the state of enlightenment, someone who is fully enlightened, can work for the welfare of other sentient beings. It is therefore, may I gain state of complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. So if one's motivation is pure and purely working for the welfare of other sentient beings, then practice of the bodhicitta will be followed. So therefore, the bodhicitta as practice of bodhicitta or achievement of bodhicitta is the sole path to enlightenment. So now, let's talk a little bit about bodhicitta in terms of whether bodhicitta is mind or mental factor, or the primary mind or the mental factor. Yeah, there are some who actually who propound the bodhicitta as a mental factor. However, from our own side, we propound bodhicitta as a primary mind, not as a mental factor. So such precious mind, what we call bodhicitta, can only be accomplished by exerting a rigorous effort. If one exerts an effort, it is always possible to achieve this bodhicitta within us. There's no such sentient beings who will not be able to actually achieve bodhicitta if they make an effort, exert an effort to practice. It is to say that there's no such a single sentient beings who will not attain, who have no seed for attainment of enlightenment, who is no seed of enlightenment. In other words, all sentient beings across the board, the entire spectrum of sentient beings, in other words, possess the seed to gain state of enlightenment. So therefore, everyone can achieve bodhicitta. So without achievement of bodhicitta, it is not possible for one to gain state of enlightenment. But then it requires a rigorous effort. Without putting an effort, bodhicitta will not come into being from nowhere, without causes and conditions. So therefore, it requires a rigorous effort. So now, what are those obstacles that we the obstacles of achieving bodhicitta. There are main 4 obstacles that we talked about earlier during our previous sessions. Those 4 main obstacles, or it is also called the 4 main negative forces or 4 main negative conditions that prevents us from achieving bodhicitta. We have gone through that during our. There are 4 favorable conditions which come to achieve bodhicitta. So we will talk about that here. What are the 4 favorable conditions to achieve bodhicitta? Is abandoning. First is just abandoning telling lies, in other words. Not only just blindly you're just abandoning, but knowing that there are a lot of faults and a lot of negativity that may result as negative consequences if I lie. So based on such reasonings, one should, put in effort to abandon telling lies to others. This is the one condition, favorable condition. Abandoning, in other words, eliminating the telling lies to others. Then next is to be always have this pure intention when it comes to working for the other beings. Always have a pure intention or haksam, or free of concealment and deceptions or hypocrisy, in other words. One should always have this, pure intention. This is the second condition. The third condition is considering all those bodhisattvas as one's own teacher and always praise those bodhisattvas from the depth of one's heart. Pure-heartedly praise, it says. This is the third condition. The fourth condition is to whoever is suitable to practice Dharma, we should become ourselves as a rapiding of their cause of engaging in practice of the Dharma, showing them appropriate teachings by knowing that what kind of teachings that are more suitable for those, followers. And those are the 4, favorable conditions, which becomes a condition for giving rise to achieving bodhicitta. So enables one to achieve bodhicitta.
Rani lang to ne teni rang ne tensa ki dujati julia ane karsawai ji living child namando kada palang ke ne ji shi sumaina ngar ma shi pa ji sa shi sumaina kyu julia ane jing sa bu ji membare 제가 랑 문제 제기해야돼 랑 세야돼 머리 참을 거야 누가 쓰지 담을 거 줘래 제가 대지시네 아무도 소소소리 연계 지여 봐다 소소소 그리 가는 저고요 봐 소소소 문제 제법에 상호 가는 저고요 봐 저한테 요래 제가 다 남이 좀 가르쳐 보는 제가 먼저 송고를 내리 나야 송고요래 근데 얘도 세제 담지 좀 된 데가 상식사를 그 도요 말 등으로 하고 그러다 마당에 저 하디도 좀된 데 저거 넘버 지니 배니 그들한 데들에 세제 타는 데와 만이면 난데는 거예요. 얘네요. 단데 세제 타는 데와 뭐 하디도 제가 상지 지기 세제 단지 상지 사람 거였어야 돼. 요요 말. 소소 내는 데와 렌디가 나였던데 돈이 상담 거 제가 세제 소소리야 렌지 용에게 상지 대마도 상지사를 그 도야 말. 제단 담을이 뭐도 매직 경우도 되게 요아요 말. 그런 지 무서 소소 근데 받았더만 맞았더만 또 소소 개인 지금 여러. 대나시기 말아서 있나야 뭐 말이야. 말아서 산집에 채나 말아서 그 산지살에 그 세제 하자 뭐 보여. 제가 말아서 산마지와 전에 가서 뒤르고 또서 코안을 코와이나 뭐 말아서 산지살에 그 세제도 말아서 산마지가 돼서도 고소야죠 코안을 또 내야 되고. 소강지 산지 소강지 배워있네 산지 소강지게 산지살 그 도고요 말. 나는 그 렌디어요 렌디어 말. 저 내내 말아서 뭐니 가르쳐 그래. 저 소소하게 대방교로 전에 가서 조조게 산지 토이나 근데 라니기 뭐 발면 받지 뒤쳤어서 산지 살에 강조조 그 토고 코에 코와당에서 언니를 강조조야 그 토고요. 저 토고요. 저 내내 말아서 된다서 안타요 삼보 말아서 대방교로 맞이하지네 도저를 지대되어이나 레디 나게 다니네 너무 차고 제가 소소기 소소단 레디 용에게 산지살에 그분을 쓰제도서 내말리는 강조조 지그 토고 그러고서 중간에 타와지 재고 거예요. 제가 대남 맞이바지 빼나면서 변보를 찾잖아. 대발에 대두 시행을 중요하이나 그 대두들은 가동 되살이야. 그래서 만나가지고 소소도 같이 들어가지고 마카라사고요. 마차 통고에는 흘려지 되되어이나 그거 이라 통하기네. 야부 통마라. 그 내가 됐다다 저러지면도 무슨 대두 시행을 그래. 그 자동고에서 칼라사고 있는데 이거도 야보면도 나그러와. 제가 대나지게 말아도 있네요. 제 자주가 세주를 맞지마 지하도다. 제가 보는 분도 빼야가 몇째네. 대나지가 돈도 싫어라서. 간다 제 랑도 근데 말아서 나네 정말 제지 제네 강조조 라니 산지 토이나 아니 라니기 산지 살이야. 그걸 유익이 렌디 유익 세지도 아니 배 내말 레시도 나왜 아니 세지 살이야 뭐 산지 살이야 뭐 도와준 거로. 저 내내 이제 랑이 뭐지 세제나 저장도 주바 상대서 뭐 현다지를 상한다네 뭐 이게 되면 소소소를 막또 송구에 소리지. 말하는 송구에 말하는 게 돼요. 말하는 산지적인 제야 말하는 문제 제야 자고 쓰지 말고요. 근데 이제 말하는 강조제 산지고도 대 가이나 말하는 산지사를 그거 쓰지 말고요. 더더 강조제 산지사를 그거도 더더 강조제 산지사를 그거라니 산마지 못하면도 산에. 근데 전에요 소소문에 제 생슈로 제 로제로 제 아니야 추 제가 레로다 나요가 마소마 아니 강도지도 추르요 더라요 제 생슈스 남도 편보진도 와드네 그래서 아무도 제 관해하고 해서
So here, the last one that we talked about, the last condition, the favorable condition to achieve bodhicitta, we talked about is something that's very important to understand. What is meant by what we talked about earlier is the ripening of other beings. Ripening of other beings. How do we ripen other sentient beings? Is by giving them the teachings of the important teachings of what is to be abandoned and what is to be adapted. So this is what is meant by ripening of other beings. If by means of one's own teachings, of giving them appropriate teachings, the teachings that are suitable for those beings, if the beings who have received the teachings from oneself or instructions from oneself, if they're able to abandon at least even one single, part of the negativities, then they are actually, gaining some kind of ripening result or ripening fruit. by means of their practice. So now, by means of one's instruction to them, if they are then able to abandon all those negativities and achieve all the positive thoughts and the positive thoughts that has not been arisen in the past, and they have kind of newly or freshly arise those thoughts into them, then that is what is meant by ripening of the result. So they have actually experiencing their own ripening result by means of their own practice. It is through your instructions of the Dharma to them. So here now we have a big responsibility for that. To ripen, to making those beings who are able to ripen their result of their Dharma. We, as a practitioner at this point, have a big responsibility. There are many beings who have a karmic connection with all of us. Because without having a karmic connections, even the Buddhas cannot, lead that individual to a state of enlightenment. It is obvious if you look at here, we know that Buddha Shakyamuni came to this world in aspect of Supreme Nirmanakaya. Yes, Buddha has actually established numerous, infinite, in other words, sentient beings to the state of enlightenment. However, there are many, even though they were in his surrounding, Buddha was not been able to establish them to the state of enlightenment. It is because of not having a karmic connection with them. So therefore, the reason why I'm saying here that we have a big responsibility is because if you really want to work for the welfare of other sentient beings and having a pure motivation to establishing all sentient beings to the state of enlightenment, we should exert an effort to become oneself as a Buddha, so that we can work for the welfare of all other sentient beings with whomever that we have karmic connections. There's hundreds and thousands, millions of beings who have our karmic connections. So here, now we should think of ourselves. It is not a right for me to not work, not exert an effort to gain state of enlightenment, because there are many who have a karmic connection with me, so that I can work for them and I can, by achieving this state of enlightenment. So here now, so if we remain careless about that, we're not paying attention to the karmic connection, the importance of karmic connection that we have with all other sentient beings. So instead of that, now I must take this responsibility. I must do whatever I can to engage in the practice of the Dharma, so that I can, attain enlightenment. Having attained enlightenment, I'll be able to work for all other sentient beings, to be able to establish all sentient beings to the state of complete enlightenment, with whomever I have the karmic connections. So if we remain, very careless about that, then this is not ethically sound for us and spiritually as well. For instance, even in our mundane world, if one has to, appeal something to someone who has a higher position, if they reject or if they ignore your, your request or appeal, then this is not right, even in a mundane perspective. And certainly, as the practitioner of the Dharma, if we remain careless about other sentient beings, not exerting effort to gain state of enlightenment for the benefit of the sentient beings, it is completely not right, ethically and spiritually. It says. So one should think that my very purpose of achieving state of enlightenment as soon as possible is to solely to work for the welfare of other sentient beings. If I'm able to gain such a state of enlightenment, I certainly will be able to work for all other sentient beings and to be able to establish all sentient beings to the state of enlightenment with whomever I have karmic connections.
Let's
take some questions.
Yes, the idea of being a teacher and teaching others Dharma is a sensitive one because it is not helpful to impose teachings on people who don't want to hear them from you. So, what is especially we're going to talk about methods of establishing these sorts of karmic connections, and how one develops the relationship with someone so that you can become a teacher for them.
Some number lazam jeje online meeting pa tabe ne pa jo de aji de we shara min na and they are just out of the gala the calendar ji ki sun ba sun and then ta kon kya ya me na kon sun do ta lende ki ka ji de wa ji me ki kya ba yong go na calendar this leadership
tajana to na ju cheso na ma to ten ro ro te du so da ga ni bo to mo ten je kala sabe kare ja to be kare le ga ji be kare ten ya to mo de te yu ro te le du ya ka kare de te yu kare ko sha da sha ke je na le yu ro ba ke je de yu be kare ya shibe ku chu si mi ta ge ya ma ta tendevi shoryan soso jilega jewa tsode yago yoba ane dibigi lega dili sorda jawan nebigi lega tsode ane jemroma tanda ta tso junsen kweni shiya jire mata kada me sona wata daga sa hanji sona mai bachi junsen shiya ni ango junsen ta demi ta ni 바로지 쇼샤기나 바로 볼에 계셔도 쳐다면 줘야 되는 가지래 가히 양준세 산다네 계셔데 배도 유명해 요걸 배도 유명해 요걸 간다자 소소문이 다 봐줘 누가 명예를 수제돼 되어 있나 되게 바스케 말이 그걸 가서 봐봐 그래 이내야 제가 저거 저거들은 나 차당선으로 들렸다 안에 샤도 써야 아니 계셨잖아요 이제 저거로 봐 근데 시작했나 바로 볼 카도요 지금 앞에 있네요 도스 된대지 내수지 안전을 봐샤샤 아니 준비 슈마야 소다 제시 다지도 되는 거 뭐 그들이라서 대대들이라서 다들 그건 도서라 아 되게 괜찮네 지수야 제 카도 배도시라 말고 있네 지수 뒤에 괜찮네 배도지고요 근데 라기 참았다 이거도 근데 이제 또다 제 소소 그분님부터 저거 좀 근데 봐도 그렇게 집에 가야 하는 소소게 제 방제 당하자 강시 받대 아니 샤도 쇼던데 알려져요 당진이 아니 차당도 되네 아니 유세도 안 되는 시도나 그리고 패나면 년도 말아 어디는 지는 거래 이제 매주고 저한테 뭐 보지 쳐 그렇게 시고요 말해
So we are living in a human society. We socialize with many people, many different individuals. And there are some who are close to ourselves and some who are not. And of those people who are close to ourselves, if we know that, when we're having a leisure time, we can talk to them. Not necessarily that you are giving the teachings of Dharma. You're giving the instructions of the Dharma. That doesn't require, someone who is saying something that is good for that person. That is not a Dharma teaching. It is just letting them know it is a fact. That is not something that it is. All human beings. We should come up with this kind of questions. And when you're having this conversation, we should first begin with a good conversation of something what is good for them, virtually, in other words. It is not spiritually, but we should think of something that is ethically good for them, something that is ethically sound, and to talk to them about what is unethical that which need to be, abandoned. So this is how we should come up. We should build some kind of relationship with those people, so that eventually we're able to build a karmic connection with those individuals. So you cannot just by saying that I'm going to give you a Dharma teaching, I'm going to give you instructions of the Dharma. This is not going to work, however. But whenever we have the intention, the pure intention of helping someone to do something better, to do something that is good, then we should always have a reasoning, not just blindly talking to them, this is not good. And then if someone asks why it is not good, and you say, no, I don't know, then that's not going to help. So we should always come up with the reasonings. If we do that, this will happen. If we do that, this will happen. So you should always have this. And we cannot impose Dharma to others. Not at all. So we should at least have some kind of a knowledge or the understanding of the other individual who is quite suitable for listening to that kind of talk. Because if you know, by knowing that person is completely not a person who would really like to have that kind of conversation, we can't force that, right? We better not to talk to that person. So we have to, if you've known that person for a long time and you at least know, of course, it is not completely not right to say that we know about that person's motivations, but we will at least know the personality and the behaviors of that person and personality and persona of that person that we at least know that person's. So then you will know that it is appropriate to talk to this person and have begin some kind of conversation with this person so that he or she can be benefited by these conversations. So if you have this kind of meaningful conversation with those people, not necessarily Dharma teachings I can hear, even though at the moment when you are having this conversation, it may not help, it may not benefit directly to that person, but eventually, whatever the conversation that you may have with this person, the person has been hearing your conversation and the conversation that you had with that conversation, and he will have this at least some kind of potency or the imprints within their mind. And somehow, eventually, again, when some condition is met, then it will that the potential that they have as a result of having conversation with you will become alive. And it is you're not able to directly help that person at the moment of your conversation, but eventually you indirectly you're able to help this person engage in this. So, but we have to be very skillful of that. You know, we have to have very skillful means of doing this. Again, here, pure motivation is very important. There shouldn't be any kind of motivation that is diluted. That is something that is, influenced by pride or some kind of, conversion and so on and so forth is completely not right. Always have a pure motivations, just pure motivations of, helping that individual.
양문도 이제는 세단적인 노여로 소소의 제단 되게 표현돼 신의 신이 근데 쇼래 신의 편도 제주로 편도 소소 나는 제고나 소소의 자료세 공부나 응의 자료세도 공부에 말하는 편도 되는 도세는 어느 말하는 돈이 더 거래사는 더 땅고요 엔지문만이 말로 단대차려야 되게 말하는 편도 도세는 어느 뭐만이 타마태고요 한 치수 타마태는 나중에 쇼령에 타마지 제바이 당은 나자고 다우도 성사라 뭐만이 차라동고요 대용하게 나섰다는 데서 한 쇼려야 차라 방과 있는 말 단대차려 주고 되는 도세하잖아 어떻게 소소가 나랭게 나니 누아서래 대의 표현데 아니 시험봐 또 시험이 아니 또야 바로 보이네 대대지가 돌아야 공부자와이나 어느 배도에 대대가 다트다 저여다 바절이 제고 따고 말하지 소소지로 저도 배로 배다 시험이 바로 보래 시험이 대의 쇼래 바로 보고 아니 생각나네 야 대대지가 제가 보셔서야 대대가 되게 요래
So then also one of the very skillful means to let other person build some kind of spiritual quality in them is to sharing your own practice and the result that you may have gained out of your spiritual practice or benefit that you may have received by engaging in the spiritual practice, such as bodhicitta. Talk about this is the practice I do, and I practice bodhicitta, and this is how it benefits my way of thinking and my way of life. And this is the practice that I do, such as practice of, you can also, the benefit you may have gained, you may have received out of practicing wisdom realizing emptiness, or meditating on emptiness. And just sharing your own experience with them again is also one of the skillful means of, giving instruction to others, so that there are many people who just say that, oh, he has done this and he has received that kind of result. He has done this, he has achieved that kind of result. I must try. So this is happening. For instance, if there are many who would be able to stop smoking by listening to their colleagues or their co-workers who have been able to stop their smoke, and how they're able to stop their smoking, and individual might say, oh, he completely stopped his smoking because when he was smoking, he was coughing and that kind of sickness and this and that. Now, ever since he stopped smoking, all his sickness are all gone. And there people have, even though how addicted they are in terms of, smoking, they will try, they will at least have some kind of effect in their mind that I should do something. But if that individual can do it, why can I do it? We're all same addiction that we all have. And similarly, it goes to alcohol too. When ever having left alcohol, having stopped consuming alcohol, what kind of benefit that I may have again? Then people will listen to us, and the people who really there are people who would like to stop drinking alcohol, but they don't know how to do it. Then if someone who has experience, who can share their experience of how they stopped, drinking alcohol and so on, will also benefit. It's the same manner if we talk about practice of love, practice of compassion, bodhicitta, and wisdom as emptiness, how beneficial it is for us. And this is also one way of giving the instruction to others.
I had one experience, and this is not a question, but it's more of an experience. I was speaking with someone a couple of weeks ago at a gathering, and he was discussing a non-virtuous problem, and he was very, very bothered by it, and he was trying to get some kind of an affirming acknowledgement from me, and I don't know this person very well, but I sort of took a neutral stance, and I didn't fall into the duality of this and that, and I explained, my thoughts about non-virtue, but that the specific subject that he was talking about was unenlightened, and why can't we speak about enlightenment? And so, the idea is that sometimes I feel it's skillful to take a neutral approach, because if you affirm their whatever it is, they may be happy, but if you don't affirm it, then they think that you're careless, So sometimes I don't want to go into conversations with certain people, especially when they're imposing things on you. And they were imposing religion and politics, and I didn't want to speak about that. So sometimes I feel it's better for my own peace of mind not to be. The skillful means would be to be neutral, but not to be careless. And they interpret it though as careless.
좋으면서 코로나인데 저거든 이러면도 코로나인데 코로나인 영화 근데 지금 영화한테 코로나 아니면데 대배가 영화 좀 되겠대. 그 세세로 시수. 자다 근데 가지 시콘데 봐야지. 무슨 미진님도 아직 이것도 미기회에 저번에 배에 거래 개척된 중소사 대시 코로나야지 계획이야 계획 자원이야 순수 예배 매지가 마셔서 지단에다 미기회 거래 계절 모시에 가려데 지 제가 보용 그래 보용 말을 세르세나 그렇게 미주긴티 거래야 코로나야다 반대지 암절 균만 동의치겠다 하니 배경을 쉬쉬는 근데 진짜 제가 잠잠이야 한서도 탑시 책에다 퍼져오게 되려 배트코로 야마제 되게 말되네 그런 딘데 지소 시간 레벨 가려 게 마시지 대세나 야유서 비도스 네 아직 탑시 시작했어 이내 퍼져오야 팬더 지금에 거기 야마제 배지 남의 지표 되게 말했어 이내 거다 시에는 팬더를 봐봤어 그래서 게 만나지도 시 그좀 대세네 약고 탑시 시작했어 그래서 코로나 영향이 있었대
제 다지랑 모두 시안에 랑도네 템비거야. 상황을 봬도 유행이 밖에 말했잖아. 그 카나면 받아 트레버를 따로 얘네다 그 자나는 직수제 팬다가 된다고 그래. 언제나 제 데뷔기 자 서들아 달아야 그냥 좀 있나. 근데 대야 카도 소소가 랑도로 이제 트레버문나 한 거기 제야대 소소게 키에네 비도바면은 근데 말했다고 그 말고 장문만 대샤나데 키면에 베케샤래 언제나 준비되기네요. 파다만에서 이제 신세서로 여보주진이 뭐래야 도저지네 요래져서 그 가도들 파마센 나도 친구를 쓸라와이나 그 레고 영화를 누구 영화 배고 영화 가도는 뭐니까 안 파다만에서 이제 그래서 그 트란데드네 용용고요. 제가 이내야 하고 내가 두어리 제거를 신경 주는 소소 그 마음이 되시는 누구래. 제거를 저저 맞지 제주에만 준대게 시에는 배도게 매매서 한게 말하지 되시는 대한고 대기지로 누구래.
So it is good thing, being silent is also one of the skillful means too. And not in a being silent negatively. In other words, you shouldn't have negative motivations of being silent or neglecting someone's, opinion. But if we think that is not appropriate, just adopt silence. It's a good. I mean, it's a one of the skillful means to do that. Yeah, that's really good because but when we have a conversation with the people about virtuous deed and non-virtuous deed and so on, and we are not certain that all our conversation will have some benefit to them because but one thing that I'm pretty sure is that if there were 100 people that we may have had conversation with 100 people about virtues and non-virtues, out of 100, at least 10 of them may be benefit out of it, which is also good, Yeah, but 90 of them may ignore and may not agree with what we are saying, but there are 10 of them who may agree, which is also a good thing. So here, sometimes we have to really have some kind of understanding of their inclination and their motivation. Is also very, very important because even during the Buddha's time, at some point, Buddha has to give some kind of instructions. But it's, of course, not a definitive instruction, but it's a interpretative instructions that to whom Buddha even was compelled to say something that father and mother is to be killed. So this kind of teaching Buddha has given at some point. It is a very skillful means. But then that's completely different. Buddha will know that later on by going through the deep meaning of that teachings will transform that person's mind. But for us as an individual, as ordinary beings, we don't have that kind of knowledge. And so one thing that is, also adapting silence is also a pretty good skill for this.
야, 되게 찐내잖아요, 그걸. 당고 거기 무게가 되지. 너는 시험도나 제세대 거기 무게가 저항에 같이 시험을 때 폴이야 거소선 주었다 여기 채도 가도 거기지. 너 이제는 대리에서 걸 제조 제대로도 저 제대로 했다 다 했어. 라와는 거 간에 소소단 세나니 뭐 참도. 근데 가래지냐 거 쇼를 가래지네. 거기가 나타나고 있잖아요. 문제가 나는데
So there's also one thing that's a possibility is that even when someone who is so rigid about what he or she is doing is good or virtuous, even though it's not a virtuous,
Mm.
But sometimes but skillfully, we should accept it, to become more acquainted with this person
Oh, I
and
see.
become more familiar with this
Maybe
person.
just a connection.
And connection.
Yeah,
So that this person will eventually become really friendly with us.
I see.
And then think, oh, he is such a wonderful person. Because whatever I'm saying is accepting it. And then finally, when as the time goes by, and when you really come to know about that person, there's a great chances that we can transform his or her motivations.
Help them.
Yeah,
Oh,
help that
yeah,
person.
yeah.
That's what true.
Thank you. That's right. Thank you, Nima.
You're welcome.
So we should say the dedication prayers beginning at page 23 and 24, and then continuing with auspicious wishes on page 28. Indaki jine sarve
Kevani Vedandova Kula Kamela Chevara Jasa Rosandavai Tebe Nivo Rendosa Jero
Saji Buki
Choshe Medoda Rera Neje Nide Javati Sanje Jindo Mede Goai Yoga Nanda Jira Shivara Sho
Kewa Kundu
Yata Lama Da Dome Cheche Bela Cheche Sana Jeje Dera Daje Changi Koma Yedo
Idam Kuru
Rena Gana Lagane Atayame
Jesuna Me Kutse
Rade Je Naga Tene Joju Jivata Kloza Tebe Dreme Sanguji Raye Mese Tadu Ne Yuroji
Shari Rame
Goye Shikanzu Bedan Dewa Manu Juve Chere Zewa Teze Jazoyi Yabe Sete Badu Te Yuroji
Champel Jita
Chepa Dang Goto Sambo Deya Deje Tena Guji Jiso Daroji Gewa Deda Tamche Rato Jiso Jibe Gewa Tamche Mowa Kala Choso Navade Dagi Give Sawa Digu Sambo Jeje Rato Mowaji.
Okay.
Thank you.